Hey everyone, it's Nicole here today with my favorite Zig Clean Color Real Brush Marker color combinations. This is something that's been requested multiple times. Waffle Flower has just released a new Color Swatches stamp set that makes swatching your markers, watercolors, colored pencils, whatever color medium, so stinking easy. There's lots of ways to do this. I did this in a way that made sense to me. I used the color swatches. I showed both colors and then showed them mixed together. And then I simply printed out those colors with my label maker and added them next to the color swatches. This worked for me. It's a great reference. I can stick this sheet right into my swatch binder and that works. There are lots of ways to do that though, so this definitely doesn't have to be the only way. This set is definitely made for watercolors in particular. You can make it work for whatever you want to use it for. So if you're using other kinds of watercolors, I really highly recommend you check out the Waffle Flower Crafts YouTube channel. Nina has an incredible video that walks you step by step through her thought process when designing this stamp set, and it's absolutely incredible. I went ahead and die cut this long skinny rectangle. There are coordinating dies for the color swatches, which I think is amazing. If you happen to do the 2x2 squares in your swatch binder, which I do, I use those for a lot of things, but I didn't want to use them for this particular thing today. There's a die for that too, which I love. So you can kind of use this in so many different ways. But I'm using this long skinny die. I went ahead and just did 2 of these today because I'm going to share my very favorite Zig color combinations. And that doesn't include every single marker there is. I have another sheet in my binder that has all of these swatched out so I know what the colors look like, because I do have a few additional colors that aren't here in these color combinations today. But you guys, these are the color combinations you see me use over and over and over. So in the first small box, I did the dark color. In the second small box, I did the light color. And then I mixed the 2 in the third box. What I'm doing here is taking water in a water brush pen and simply painting this out, watercoloring this out. I want to see what these 2 look like when blended together and then when blended together with a little bit of water. So that first color combination is peach pink and sugared almond pink. I did not put the colors on the screen today because, first of all, I have that whole list that I showed just a second ago. I'll show you that again. It is also going to be included on my blog. So if you want a reference and you want to see this, go to my blog, check out the photo for this. You can pin it for reference or anything like that if you want to. Next, I used Carmine Red and Light Carmine. This is my favorite red color combination. I do use another one. I am going to show you that in the next set of swatches. This is more my rainbow colors. This is my go-to color combination, this first little list or column of colors I'm doing. This is bright yellow and yellow. Again, the dark color in the first box, light in the next, and then I mix them together in the bigger box. I've got light green and yellow green. I tend to gravitate towards these rainbow colors, but there are some basics that I also use. I'm going to include those in my second column of colors, plus some more, I would say, autumn tone colors that I'm going to show you in the next column that are also favorite color combinations. I show you this because the Zigs can be purchased in kits or individually. I've talked about this in many videos. When I buy markers for myself personally, I did buy these myself. I was not given these. I like to buy the colors that I want. I do not want to end up with a bunch of colors that I don't like. For instance, in the Zig color family, there are some neon colors. I have no interest in those whatsoever. Those just do not work for me in my crafting. And I don't want markers that I'm not going to use. So for me, it's just more reasonable, I guess, to just buy the things I like. So This is simply sharing my process with you. I know everybody likes to do things differently, but this is how I do it. And if you've ever wondered, what are your favorite color combinations? This is it. I will be bringing this to you in other color mediums as well. Let's hop back up. I kind of was talking through that. My turquoise color combination is turquoise green and green shadow. The blue color combination, cobalt blue and light blue. And then this bluish purple is actually blue and English lavender. I want to mention blue, light blue, cobalt blue. You could mix any of those. You're going to get some different color combinations, and maybe I even need to share that one of these days. Any of those three I like together, you're going to get different blues. Finally, my purple combination is violet and light violet. There are some other really pretty purple colors. I do own them. This is my go-to purple though. So this is my rainbow color assortment of favorite Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. Now for greens that are going to be more leaf green or autumn or just a more warmer kind of color palette instead of a cooler one, I like olive green and mid green. That is this first color combination, and you're actually going to see this in the card that I'm going to create for you at the end of this video. My favorite brown color combination, and this can also be kind of a rust or an orange, which you'll see in the card as well, is brown and light brown. I put off buying the light brown forever, and I did not like the brown at all. And when I finally just said to myself, maybe I'll just pick up the light brown and see what I think, it has become one of my most used color combinations. It's great for, I think it makes great red hair if you're coloring a person. It's a great, like I said, a rust or an orange. Lots of things you can do with it. I really like those two colors. Deep brown and beige. This is my go-to brown color combination. You're going to see this in the tree trunk on the card I'm going to share. Hair for people, I like it for that. All kinds of things for that brown color combination. My favorite gray combination, and I know there's lots of grays, this is probably going to be more of the cool gray color family, but for whatever reason, this is what I use the most, is gray and pale gray. And just a nice kind of basic gray color combination here. Two more color combinations that are more color is a maroon, and that is deep red and pale rose. I love these two together. If you're wanting something a little bit more richer, maybe a vintage Christmassy color, look at that green color combination and then this maroon one in this column, as opposed to the bright red and green in the other column. Just another option, and it's just something that I really, really love. I like using these a lot. I also think the green, rust, brown, and red in this column, fantastic for fall leaves. I know for a lot of us, we're still in summer here and we're not really too anxious to look ahead to fall. Maybe some of you are. Autumn is my favorite season. I love these colors together for autumn leaves. And then this blue color combination is just a different blue. This is again a richer blue. This is peacock blue and Persian green. I love this for denim, which again, I'm going to use in my card here at the end of the video. I love it for flower pots. I'm trying to think what else I've colored with this color combination. Just my favorite. And then the skin tone I use most of the time is beige and flesh color. Now, if you want, and I'm so sorry, I wish I would have added this. If you want to get darker skin tone, I would put some of that deep brown from up above into this, and it's just going to add another layer, a little bit darker skin tone. Now, I went ahead and used my label maker to print out the color number and then the name of the marker. For me, I always need to know exactly what I'm using. I'm posting videos, I have supply lists. When people ask me, I need to be able to easily know what colors what. For me, it just makes sense. You could handwrite this if you wanted to. I am just kind of funny this way. I love my label maker, and if I can print it out or however that might be, that's what I do because to me it's nice and neat. In fact, I even made a label for the top of my sheet that's going to say what this is. This goes in my swatch binder, and I can reference this anytime I am, you know, wanting to know what a certain color combination looks like. There's even room on this paper to add to the columns. So as I maybe try out some other color combinations, maybe even stamp a few additional columns, tuck these in my binder, use these to practice different color combinations. If you're looking for something specific and you want to try them out before you commit to your project, I would suggest stamping out a bunch of these and using them for practice. Really, really great. I'm going to just continue to line all of these up. This is going to make a fantastic reference, and hopefully it is going to answer some of you guys' questions about my favorite color combinations, because I know this is probably one of the questions I get asked the most. This, my favorite Copic marker color combinations, which I am working on. I promise it's going to be something kind of similar, and it will be coming to my YouTube channel just as soon as I can kind of get that video finished up for you and everything like that. It's a lot longer than this. I've had a lot longer to collect my Copic markers. However, just like I mentioned with these Zigs, I tend to gravitate towards the same colors. And so I'm like to, you know, have a reference guide right there. Maybe, for example, favorite hair colors. When I'm going and I'm going to color red hair, I'd like to know what those are going to be. So there's a lot of ways to use this. Even with our Zigs here, if you wanted to take it a step further, add some more of these little swatches and say, this is the color I like for red hair using my Zigs. This is the color I like for brown hair, for you know, blonde hair or skin tones, whatever it is. Swatches are so handy because we always think we're going to remember exactly the colors, you know, that we used. And if you are like me, I do not always remember exactly which ones I used for which project. And it's kind of a pain to go back and try to find my blog post from months back to see exactly which markers I used. So I am a huge proponent and a huge fan of keeping a swatch book. I'm just going to add the rest of my little labels here, add my label at the top of this paper, and then let's create a card very much inspired by our swatch, our little color swatches. This is with the Adventures stamp set. It was designed, you know, very much with the watercolor in mind. You guys probably have heard me mention lots and lots of times, I am not a strong watercolorer. I definitely want to become a better watercolorer, and I think this is going to help. All of these new products from the August Waffle Flower release are just going to help me with that a ton. But I do love my Zigs, and that's what I went with today. And I wanted to, if you like your Zig markers, I wanted to share this with you so that you could, you know, maybe get some ideas for how to use the Waffle Flower products to swatch your markers. I did forget to mention I am using Bristol Smooth cardstock throughout this video. That is the only cardstock I use for Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. For other watercolors, I will use other watercolor paper just fine. But with the Zigs, I only use Bristol Smooth cardstock. It is the only cardstock I found that I like with these markers. So that's what I use for the swatches, and that's what I'm using for coloring in this adorable little scene. This is a beautiful stamp set, you guys. The sentiments in it are absolutely amazing. I love this stamp set. I think it's really pretty. You can see it takes up almost the whole sheet. I am going to list here what colors I'm using so you can kind of reference back to that color marker swatch guide that we just used, starting with our tree trunk and branches. This is the deep brown and beige color combination. Then on an acrylic block, I am going to make this a palette with olive green and mid green. The thing is, they do tend to kind of blend all into one color. So I happened to go into the rest of my Zig markers, and I grabbed marine green. And this is going to be a very bluish green, but I like how this adds to the interest of my tree, and I think it's going to tie in nicely with the boys' overalls. I'm simply adding water from a water brush pen and painting leaves all over this. And I left it all in because I wanted you to see how messy this is. I am not being, particular at all. I'm just simply kind of drawing a leaf shape and letting the water and the ink do its thing. You could do this with all kinds of watercoloring mediums, all kinds of paint mediums. I just love this. You could do this with a paintbrush. You might even get maybe some better results, I want to say, with paintbrushes, especially different tips and things like that. I am a creature of habit. I love my water brush pen. It's easy for me. I like the results I get with it. I'm comfortable with it. And so I wanted to show how easy it is, if you are in the same boat, how easy it is to create something like this. And we're simply filling in the tree. Now consider what I talked about earlier with the swatches. Consider that olive green, rust, brown, and maroon color combination. You could just as easily create a very fall-themed tree just by changing up the colors. So fun. Now I'm even taking some of that watered down paint and adding little drops of color all over. This is definitely messy. I did not worry about this a whole lot. I just wanted it to kind of give that illusion of being filled in more. Let's move on to the overalls. This is the Peacock Blue and Persian Green from my swatches. This is where I was talking about for denim. I love this color combination. I think it's great. And we're going to do this for both boys. Now, I don't always use water with my zigs, but I am for a lot of this card today. I used it for the tree trunk. I used it obviously for the leaves. I'm using it for the overalls to add that lighter area. Kind of the light, I'm imagining the lights coming from the top left corner, kind of where the boys are facing. So I tried to keep the darkness down towards the bottom right. And that's where the darker part of the images is concentrated. So blending out with my water brush pen gives some nice lighter areas. I did the skin with beige and flesh color, also from my swatches. Hair, deep brown and beige, just like the tree trunk, but I think it's dark enough here. I don't blend it out too much that it gives it enough different look. I did not add water to the faces or the hair. Now, the first boy's shirt, this is going to turn out to be kind of an orangey rust colored shirt because this is brown and light brown. This does not have to be used just for hair or other things like that. I love this as a rust color, and I especially love it when paired with the blue overalls. I think that just really looks nice. Let's go ahead and color in his hair as well. Going to keep it easy and keep that with the deep brown and beige. The other little boy's shirt, let's make that maroon with deep red and pale rose. And I accidentally started to put some pale rose into his arm. And I just kind of tried to pick up some of that with my water brush pen and then blend it out with my zigs. I love that they are very forgiving. The boots, going to be gray and pale gray, also from our color chart. And then I need to fix a couple areas on that tree trunk, so I did that real quick. We'll color in the hat with those same colors that we used already. And once we have this colored, just a few little spots, make sure that we get everything colored in here. It'll be time to do the finishing touches. That'll be stamping the greeting. This is a very simple one-layer card design. This is all one panel that's going to be attached to a top fold card base. I've positioned a sentiment from the Adventures stamp set in the top left corner, and I'm going to stamp this with black ink. I'll stamp it a couple times. I want to make sure it's nice and solid black so it really stands out. And the simple watercolored design card could be finished. I decided I thought my leaves needed to extend up a little bit above that greeting. So I'm simply going in, I grabbed a little bit more color. You can go over some leaves that maybe weren't quite the color you wanted them to be. This is a great time to do any little touch-up work. And like I said, fill in. I think the filling in that upper left corner just makes the whole thing look a lot nicer. So there is my card, created with the Adventures stamp set, part of the August release from Waffle Flower Crafts. And again, all of the colors that I used for this were inspired by my favorite Zig Clean Color Real Brush Marker color combination swatch chart that I showed you at the beginning of this video. I hope this has inspired you to maybe swatch out some of your favorite colors for easy reference. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for a tutorial on these new products from Waffle Flower Crafts. The supplies I used to create these projects are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring Waffle Flower Crafts that you might be interested in. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and we'll see you next time.